Hey, everybody, welcome to another college conversation. My name is Harlan Cohen, and today I am here with three graduates from Sunnyside Senior High School. Francisco, Nora, Clarissa, welcome to our college conversation. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good, excited, maybe a little
Excited.
nervous. I think you might be a little nervous, right? You know, there's a lot to share. I'm excited about that. I like that, I like that you care. Makes it exciting. Clarissa, on a scale of 1 to 10, how is your day today? 10 being best day ever, 1 being the worst day ever.
8,
8, that's pretty good. Wow. Why was it an 8?
because I was able to wake up in the morning and do what I needed to do today.
Wow. So you're a very positive person.
Yes.
Just waking up is an 8 for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's great. For me, waking up is sometimes a 3, a 2. I'm usually very tired, but you're just bright and ready. Nora, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you today?
Probably a 6.
That's very nice. And you seem very happy being a 6. Why a 6?
6 because I have, 2 finals this Saturday and it's stressful. And I also have a job and I just clocked out right before I logged in with you all. So just a little tired.
A long day. What job do you work?
I work for Washington STEM.
Oh, neat. So what do you do for them?
I am an accounting assistant for them. So yeah.
Interesting. So Washington STEM, what's Washington STEM?
Yeah, Washington STEM is a not-for-profit organization. Yeah, and a lot of their vision and their mission aligns with what I believe in. So it's an honor really to work with them as well.
Oh, that's cool. So we'll find out how you got that job.
Yeah.
Because it sounds pretty cool. Francisco, how are you today on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's a 10 for me because, I'm officially done with my classes. Today was my final exam. Thank God I passed my final exam. So
Nice. So that's a 10.
That's a pass. Yes, correct.
You might be the first 10 I've ever had as part of a conversation. So, I mean, congratulations. And I know it's the medals around you. I think you just give off this winning vibe, right?
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Have that positive mindset.
You do. I mean, and it's taken you to some great places. So I'm excited to hear about you, and I'm excited to hear about what it's like to be an athlete, to be a collegiate athlete, and a scholarship athlete as well. So that's really cool. So I'm excited to get to know all of you, just thinking of like what you want, just thinking of just how far you can go, man. Francisco, what is your dream? Let's go 10 years in the future.
My dream is to, in 10 years from now, have a beautiful house, have my own officially house on my name. And from there, work Microsoft in the big companies and probably live in the city as well and share moments with my family.
Nice. So your dream job is like Microsoft or a big tech company.
Correct.
That's exciting. Do you know anyone at Microsoft?
At the moment, no, I don't.
I met someone who's a Microsoft intern. What year in school are you, Francisco?
Right now, this is my second year in college.
Yeah. Do you want me to introduce you to the Microsoft intern?
Of course.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
We hosted another conversation and who is he? He's great. I could picture him. I know who he is. I just can't remember his name, and I don't want to be insensitive by not giving you the right name, but he's awesome. He's like so great at rejection, because we were hosting this and he was talking about scholarships, and he was talking about how like he just made a game of going after scholarships, and he got so much money, and he's like, the worst thing that happens is I get rejected. And then he got rejected from all these different internships, and somebody he knew helped him to get an interview, and all of the rejections that he encountered while trying to get that other internship helped him to be great at just having a great interview, an amazing interview. And he's an intern at Microsoft this year. So I'll introduce you. And he's a Gear Up guy too. He was part of a Gear Up program from Washington. Yeah. So I think he might be from like Skagit. So yeah. All right, man. I'll do that. You got to hit me up after. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. See, this is the beauty. Like when you share your dream, someone can be like, I know somebody who's doing that. And, I would love to connect you with someone who's doing that because, man, I love that. Like, I want you to have the house and I want you to be in Seattle and I want you to have that life, man. I'm like rooting for you and I'll do everything I can do to support you. So that's cool.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah, that's exciting. I like it. It's exciting. You'll get there. I know you just strike me as someone, right? You've got no quit in you, right?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nora, what about your dream? Let's go 10 years in the future. Tell me where Nora is. What are you doing? What's your life look like?
I think buying a house for my parents is one of my biggest things that I want to accomplish, just having them be comfortable. Both of my parents are farm workers. So I think having them, so they're not able or they don't have to be working out in the conditions that they're currently working in, that would be the biggest accomplishment for me. So, yeah.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. And I am excited to learn more about your parents and the sacrifices they've made because here you are at the University of Washington, right? Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, and that's amazing. I'm always amazed when I was saying before we even started this, that you have parents who are, working so hard, physically pushing themselves, correct? And have been able to create this life, and you get to the next generation be able to do just this really cool stuff. And I just think parents and family are just amazing. Deserve so much respect, and I love that dream. It's exciting. Clarissa, so let's go 10 years in the future for you, Clarissa. Tell me about your dream.
I'll finish a graduate program so I can get my PhD in political science and hopefully come back here in the Valley to teach at either a community college. Currently, I am a substitute teacher. Because of my age, I can only teach elementary kids.
How old do you have to be to teach middle school or high school?
21.
What grade are you teaching in elementary school?
Whatever comes up. So it could be 1st through 5th.
Yeah. Do the 5th graders, are they punks or are they like nice to you?
It depends on their day.
That's hard, right? Like when they're just pushing you around and, 5th graders can be difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Francisco, how are you as a 5th grader?
I was a pain in the butt.
So, right. You would be definitely testing Clarissa.
Correct.
Right. When the young substitute comes in, that's exciting. It's like, oh, what are we going to do today? Clarissa, it's a great exercise. And if you can survive that, then you will be so strong and ready. So that's exciting. I love that you're going after, you want your PhD. Is that what you were saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea where you want to study for your PhD?
I want to go to UW. They have a really nice program there.
Nice. So your dream's to get your PhD at UW.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone who's in a PhD program there?
I don't.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you can meet people. I know that just through the Gear Up grant, it's based at UW, and the people there, I don't know if you're familiar with any of the people there, but if you would like to connect with any of them, they have, great insight into, those programs and also supporting first gen students with dreams. So would you be interested in getting to know some of those people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. The Gear Up program and some of the people there are still in your corner. Are you still connected with anyone at Sunnyside?
Miss Stark was very helpful for science fair, and she taught a lot of the sciences. And Mr. Martin used to be in the Navy, and he's an engineer, and he just loves teaching.
As a recent graduate, you just graduated, you're still in contact with them?
Mm-hmm.
And when the last time you connected with them, what was it about, and what was the interaction or advice they offered?
I asked Mr. Martin a couple of months ago about advice on taking classes in IT. And I asked him whether it was good to get a certification or go to classes in college. And he said it's definitely better to go to college for those classes.
Yeah. So that would be continuing on in your education and also getting some certification.
Yeah.
So, and Mr. Martin, do you have his text? Like, how do you connect with him?
We message each other through text. Yeah.
That's so cool. And then the other teacher you're still in touch with, tell me who that is and how you've interacted.
Miss Stark, she's just very supportive. She always likes to see people strive. So in science fair, it's very hard to do people projects. And she was making all the calls she could. She was trying to get all of the consent forms for the participants. And she just was very in my corner.
So she was helping you to get the forms for your project?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people you have to contact, like higher up officials, to make sure that you can interact with people and
Right.
test on them.
And what was the project that you had to do?
It had to do with exercise. So I had to have a nurse and I had people exercising and testing their heart rates and things like that.
And that was a project that she helped you to work on and getting all the people to then consent to getting their heart rates up and all of that. That's great. And you're still in touch. And when's the last time you reached out to her and why?
I saw her about a month ago. I wanted to thank her and I brought her flowers for her birthday. So I just wanted to let her know.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure she's super excited you're graduating, right? Yeah, that's wonderful. That's cool. I love to hear that. It's great to know that the people who are in your corner at Sunnyside are still in your corner 4 years later. And I'd love to hear about any of the teachers or people who impacted you, Francisco, and also Nora. I'm saying Francisco, right? That's am I pronouncing your name properly?
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Sometimes I'm from Chicago and, sometimes I butcher names. I never want to. And people are always so polite and never tell me, but
No,
I always,
right.
right. I always want to know. So I should have started that before. So cool. Francisco, I would love to know about your background. I'd love to know what it was like growing up in your house, just what it was like for you in middle school and high school, just so people can identify with you and your experience. So take us into the world of Francisco.
Since I was little, it wasn't about me going home and do homework or just go to school. No, I had to work. I come from a family that, we work under the sun in the field work. And it was a stressing thing because, we had to work, or asparagus we used to work during the night. So it was a pain in the butt because, we used to have back pains and all that. And then I didn't have enough sleep. So it was a difficult time in my teenage life because it was school, work. And at the certain time of age, I was, 7, 10. And I didn't enjoy my how can you say this, my kid journey. It was a stressful thing, but I thank my family and who I am because I'm who I am today. And still, I'm still trying to achieve new accomplishments for me and for, my family, because I think I deserve it and they deserve it as well.
So tell me, how old were you when you were working in the fields?
Oh, well, there's a story that honestly, I don't really remember the age because I was a little kid and, I was probably 6, I believe. And I remember, the asparagus boxes, we used to put them right there and we used to see my parents work. But at the same time, we were like, oh, okay, why not help them out? So it was in the morning, it was so cold. So, we had to take a little blanket outside and just be there under the trees. But at the age of 6 is when I started working with my parents.
And then when were you actually starting to get paid for that?
Back in the days, we since we were kids, we didn't really get paid. That's when our parents, or my mom, she's like, well, I'm gonna give you a certain amount of money so you could do whatever you want. But, as a kid, you want to buy candies or, toys. So that's what I used to waste it on. But the money like my mom would give me, I would have told her, just keep it for like the bills because that's what it's for. It's not for me, so I could buy toys or candy. So basically, it was for the bills. So I told her just keep the money.
Yeah, that's nice. And then when you were in high school, were you also working?
Yes, correct. It was more of a challenging thing because high school you get bigger assignments and stuff like that. But the good thing is that my mom and my sisters helped me manage the things, and they explained to me, life is gonna be like that. So that's when I knew I had to balance and keep my schedule, in good form.
So give me an idea of what like a typical weekday was for you when you were in high school and you were working, just to get a sense of just how busy you were.
So I'm gonna give you a little example of during asparagus back in the days. Well, you had to wake up 7 a.m. work from 7 a.m. 7:45 to like 2:30 p.m. School was over around there. So after that, I used to come home, eat a little bit of snacks or something, and from there, go to asparagus or something and start working for like about 4 or 5 hours until it was already dark. By the time I used to get home, well, it was already time to shower, do a little bit of homework, and from there go to sleep. And the same routine the whole time.
Yeah, so you were working 4 or 5 hours a day, and then doing
Yes.
your homework afterwards. And how about your grades? How were you as a student?
Well, in the beginning, it was kind of like kind of thrown off because I wasn't getting the grades I wanted to get. But I realized that that's how life is. So it's either I fix my grades or just keep doing how I'm doing right now or how I was doing before. So that's when I managed. I had that mindset. Always have that positive mindset no matter what. So I used to pass my classes. Before I was struggling, but at the end is when I was like, well, I got to improve myself. So good thing I passed my classes.
I know you're really involved with soccer, and you were mentioning that you got a soccer scholarship, but how were you able to play soccer? When did you have time to practice and really get to be so great?
So sometimes, when I had to like go play soccer with my club team, before, during high school or in middle school, I used to play for Central Washington Sounders. It's a club team in Yakima. And I had my friends' parents pick me up from work, and I used to go to practices or, because we used to practice in that club from Monday to Friday. So throughout the week, I had to go practice, and sometimes I didn't even shower. I just went to work like that, So
you go to school, then you go to practice, and you go to work.
Correct.
Yeah, and then you do homework.
Yes, and sleep. Same routine.
Sleep. How much sleep would you get a night?
Sometimes, like back in the days, sometimes you're just on the phone, time clicks and you're just like, oh, dang, it's already time to go to sleep. Sometimes I used to have 4 or 5 hours of sleep. But sometimes I used to get my 8 hours of sleep though.
Oh, wow. Right. So you were just so busy, man. I mean, nonstop.
Yeah.
And then was playing soccer for your college, was that a dream of yours? Was that something you were working towards?
I started playing at the age of 8. And, that was my dream ever since I touched the ball. Like, hopefully one day, I accomplish the dream of playing in a college team. And I thank God, and my family, my parents, since, I've been playing in college. And honestly, it's nice playing, college ball, but there's a lot of responsibilities, So the first one is that, yeah, it's nice you're getting paid, they're giving you free money for your bucks, for anything gas. But behind that story is that, you have to have good grades, But it's a pain in the butt during the season because you go to school, they throw you a lot of amount of homework. And then from there, you train for like about 3 hours. By the time what's a 1 hour drive from where I live to my college. So I used to go back and forth. And by the time I used to get home, it's already like 7:30ish. And the same routine. And it was a pain in the butt, but I handled to manage my things.
Yeah. So you didn't live on campus, you lived at home.
Yeah, correct.
You commute, and you did that do you still do that?
Since season's over already, so I'm done with college. So now it's just focusing on my school.
Right. And are you back at home? Are you at home right now?
Yeah, I'm back in home now with my family. Yeah.
Yeah. You said you have sisters?
I have three. Yeah.
And where do you fall in terms of age?
I'm the third oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
The third
So
oldest.
I have one oldest that's 26, and the other one's 23, and the other one's 18. My little small sister.
Do they also go to college?
The oldest one, yes, she went to Yakima Valley. She got her bachelor's already, and the other one didn't want to attend to college anymore. And my little sister's attending to WSU in Tri-Cities right now.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
And are your parents still working hard?
Yeah, they never quit.
You never quit?
Never quit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. I want to learn during our time how you actually got the scholarship, because I know there's a lot of people who really dream of being college athletes. So make sure that I do that. Make sure I ask you about that. All right. Because I want to know how that happens, but I want to get to know Nora a little bit. So Nora, it's great to see you. Hey, were you friends with Francisco and Clarissa, Nora?
Yeah, I would consider them my friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so nice.
Yeah.
So it's good. That's great. It's good to see them again then, I imagine.
Yeah, it's super great to see them, and I'm really happy to hear that they're doing so well.
What do you remember about Francisco?
Francisco. So I knew Francisco from a while ago because his older sister was friends with my older sister. And yeah, so I don't know, since elementary, I think he was for sure one of the first peoples that I knew when I had gone to the United States. Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Isn't it
And
crazy to see them all grown up?
it is insane to see him grown up. Yeah.
Right. It's like you grew up together and he's like a man. I mean, not that I grew up, but like if you know somebody from elementary school,
Yeah.
it's like, it's wild, like I have friends and I'm, obviously older and I'm like, whoa, like it's crazy. Cause you always see like, you always see like the little kid,
Yeah.
and it's like time kind of moves in a different way when you know people for so long. So Nora, take me back to your story. I would love to get a sense of your childhood, how you spent your time when you were at Sunnyside, and you already mentioned your parents a little bit. I'd love to learn more about your family dynamics and how you got here.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think Francisco and I have a similar family dynamic. I had similar background. I couldn't remember, elementary school. Elementary school was interesting for me because, we would wake up early in the mornings. I know a lot of people who picked asparagus and they would do it sometimes in the evening or other times in the morning. For us, it would usually be earlier in the morning. Thankfully, it was not too often for us for asparagus. We did more like apples and such. So that was, something we did. Yeah, it was just interesting seeing other kids around in elementary school not doing the same thing or not being, having like these obligations or responsibilities at such a young age. That was always interesting.
Yeah, tell me about that. I want to hear, I know that Francisco mentioned it, but I would love to hear it through your own words of just what it was like for you and how old you were when you were working and just what that schedule was like and what your family dynamics were like.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar schedule as well. In elementary, I mean, that was a while ago, so I can't, I don't
Sure. That's
specific
okay.
times
Middle
like
school.
this. Right. Middle school was a bit of kind of like you mean with work? With
In
my
general, just more like your life. I'm
life?
thinking is if there's a 7th or 8th grader out there and they see you and they get to know you, a lot of times they want to know, am I like Nora? So just what was that like for you at middle school, high school? What were you doing? How were you spending your time?
Yeah, I think in middle school was interesting for me because it was when I was first considering college. Like college might actually be a thing for me. I might actually be capable of going to college. I had in my junior year of middle school, I remember I had what is it like? They had these board members for the school to be like president or vice president or all of these things.
Student council.
It's the student council, yes. So yeah, I had applied to that or I had ran to be like the president of the school, and I actually got it. And that was pretty fun. And with that came this camp thing that we went to, kind of like as a leadership conference. And through this conference, I got to meet different peoples around, other peoples who are in also council members for their schools. And I think that was one of the first times where I had realized how different I was from everybody, or at least from that space, just seeing people's from a different background. It was very interesting to me. And during that time, it was also kind of like understanding as well that it's that I'm not the only one too going through some of these issues, but at the same time that I am also, I also have to kind of prove a point to get my family farther in and such. And yeah, it was a fun experience overall.
That's amazing. What kind of issues, when you said, you're not the only one going through them, what were some of those issues?
Yeah, people with a similar background as mine, like with immigration and those similar scenarios. Yeah.
When did your parents come to Sunnyside?
What was that?
When did your parents come to Sunnyside?
I think it was around 2008 or 2009 or somewhere around there.
And then were you born in Sunnyside, or did you come with them?
No, I was born in California, actually. Yeah.
Okay. And then your family moved to Washington?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then middle school, that's when you first started thinking of college. And was that something that intimidated you in terms of like the costs, in terms of just like, how do I do this? Had you known other people who had gone to college?
Yeah, it was difficult. So I have 4 older siblings, and 2 of those decided, or I have 3 older siblings, and 2 of those decided to pursue college. So with them having that experience and seeing that they were able to go to a college, it kind of made it more possible for myself, or at least I could see myself going in a bit farther. And I have also, 5 younger siblings. So I'm hoping too that they have the same perspective that I had, and that they also have the will to go to college if that's what they decide to do.
So how many kids are in your family?
There's 9 kids, including myself.
Okay, so that's a busy house.
That's definitely a busy house. Yeah.
When did you realize that college was something that you could actually pay for and do?
It was probably in middle school when I was seeing one of my older sisters, work through her scholarship applications and through her college applications. And it seemed like a simple application to me. It was a scholarship application asking you for a story, and sure, we had stories. It was kind of a bit easier for us because we had a lot to say. So that also made it pretty interesting, and kind of helping also with those applications for her. I remember her asking for like my opinion on some of the things that she would write, and I would be really into it, trying to see how I could help her. Yeah, that was fun.
Where did your older sisters go to school?
Yeah, one of my older sisters went to the Washington State University in Pullman, and my other sister attended Eastern Washington University, and after she transferred to the Yakima Valley College.
So, coming from a family of 9 and having parents who are working, really hard, I mean, it's expensive to take care of 9 kids. So how was everybody able to pay for college?
Yeah, so, my oldest brother decided not to pursue college, but for myself, I applied for a bunch of scholarships and I also applied for financial aid. Along with that, I was also working. So I've been working for as long as I can remember. During middle school, I started working at a bakery. That was my first official job that was not working in the field. And I'm pretty sure I saw Francisco and Clarissa go in when I was working. But I was working there for like 4 or 5 years. And
What bakery?
It's called Peppa's Bakery in Sunnyside. It's really scary to see the all of the expenses when you're applying and you're seeing these big numbers, and you think, wow, how will I ever come up with all of this money to be able to go? But there are many different resources where you can apply for different scholarships. Maybe you will qualify for financial aid. That would be like the first thing to do, is apply for financial aid. and apply for scholarships for all of the scholarships that you can possibly qualify for. There was this one scholarship, the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. I applied to that one like twice. I got rejected twice. And just this last application cycle, when I applied, I actually got in and I was really, really excited. Yeah, I would say just apply to all of the scholarships that you can possibly apply for.
That's amazing. How many more scholarships did you get? Can you give us the names of them?
Yeah, I also applied for the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship. That one is also a really, really great scholarship. Super proud to be a recipient of. And I also applied for the George Washington Scholarship and the Molly Davis Scholarship. I also got those too.
How much do you have to actually pay out of pocket for your college education?
I actually don't have to pay.
And I was hoping you'd say that, just because, for people who are watching this, whether they're in middle school or high school or wherever they are, there's a way to get there.
Mhm.
There's a way, and it doesn't even have to be at the University of Washington. I mean, it could be, of course, anywhere. There are so many ways to get there. And I love finding out. I know, Francisco, you're talking about getting scholarships, and that's paid for. You've been able to pay for it all through scholarships, right? Your education.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's amazing. Clarissa, you've been so patient. I wonder if you're still an 8, or if are you still an 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Clarissa, tell us a little bit about your background so we can get a sense of who you are. And I'd love to learn more about your college journey.
So I have a small family. It's just my mom, my dad, and then my sister. I have one older sister. Basically, so whatever my sister did in high school and college, that's what I did too, just a little bit better.
Tell me why you chose YVC and then what it was like to transfer. So can you walk us through your college search process?
I did YVC as a Running Start student because it is more financially easier for a lot of students. That's what my sister did too. And since she did it, I was like, I'm going to do it too. And luckily, she showed me a couple of ways what classes I should take, what classes I shouldn't take. When I went to YVC, I did 2 years there. I took the main courses, and then I decided to go to Central because it's very close to home. It's about an hour away, and it's just a really good school.
Yeah. So did you live on campus or drive to campus?
My first year, I lived on campus. I had my own dorm, and I lived super close to all my classes. And luckily, financial aid was able to pay for everything.
Yeah. So let me know about that. Tell us how you were able to pay for college.
Well, my first quarter, I was able to pay some of it, but since some of my situation changed, financial aid was able to give me more money and pay overall for my classes and my room and board.
So that's at Central Washington.
Yes.
And then YVC, the Running Start program. Can you help us to understand what that is for people who don't know about Running Start?
Yeah, Running Start helps you do 2-year college credits. And
like, how do you do that? Just kind of give me if you can give me kind of a little more detailed overview, like if I'm a middle school student and I hear what Running Start is, explain what Running Start is, what you do, how you do it, where you spend your time, what that means.
so running, I think Nora would do a better job at explaining that.
I could ask Nora. Nora, will you explain Running Start so we could all understand what that entails?
Yeah, I mean, it's a program that allows juniors and seniors to go to college and get a head start. You're getting you're going to Running Start, you're getting a head start for college. Clarissa and I did that together. And there are some of my peers also who did it. For the reason that I had done it was because one of my friends was doing it. And I thought, like, that sounds really cool. I did not know this opportunity was available. Now that I know that it's available, I am definitely going to take advantage of that and apply. There's just an application you have to fill out. My 2 older sisters were also planning on attending the Running Start program, but they decided not to because they had said that they wanted to experience the high school experience. They wanted to have that experience, so they decided not to. But I wasn't sure really what that meant, because I think you can get enough experience from those 2 years. So then I went and I had done the Running Start program as well, my junior and senior year. And it allows you to get an associate's degree too within those 2 years. So that's also what I had done. Yeah.
So when you're a junior in high school and a senior in high school, are you spending your entire day at YVC, or are you splitting your time between Sunnyside and YVC?
My first year, I had one class at the Sunnyside High School, so I was back and forth. I'm not too sure about how it was for Clarissa, because it is different for everybody. But also there are some classes where you can take at the Yakima Valley College that will substitute some of your courses for the high school, and vice versa. Those courses will help you too, because most of them will be transferring to the college that you decide to go to. But also, if you decide to do the program, it'd be really important to consider, what college you would be going to, which courses will actually be transferring to the college that you are going to go to. I got lucky with mine because I did not look into that, but thankfully all of my credits were transferring. Yeah.
Then do you have to pay extra for that program?
It depends on your circumstance. I think I heard some students had to pay, but for myself, I didn't have to pay out of pocket.
That's great. So essentially you're in high school, you're getting college credits. And then when you graduate, you have all these college credits. And then when you went to the University of Washington, how many years did you have to attend, or do you have to attend to get your bachelor's degree?
At least for myself, I know it's probably different for Clarissa. When I was going to Yakima Valley College, I had done a general associate's degree, because that is the suggestion that the counselors that are there give you, to do something general. An associate's degree, it would get you halfway there anyway. So that's what I did. When I transferred to the University of Washington, or really when I started going to the University of Washington, these credits transferred over, but what I wanted to apply to was business. So I still had other classes that I needed to take. So it wouldn't necessarily mean that you would only have 2 years left of college. It just depends on, the program that you're going to be doing. For myself, because I am doing business administration with a concentration in accounting, and also doing international business in Spanish, it's going to take me a little bit longer. So I'll actually end up doing my 4 years at the university, even though I had already done 2 years of the college during high school. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then for you, Clarissa, at Central Washington, how many years do you need to attend to get your degree?
I just needed 2 years, because I got my bachelor's in political science and then a minor in ASL. And I had already taken some ASL courses in YVC.
That's great. So, and were you like a top student in high school, or how were you performance-wise?
Performance-wise, I was my first 2 years, but once I got into the YVC courses, they did get a little bit more difficult, and I did get a couple B's, C's. I got 1 D for one of my classes. I almost failed it.
Congratulations. I mean, that you bounced back, not that you almost failed. What class was that? How did you recover from that?
It was Introduction to Political Science. I had a really tough, I think, 2 months before we graduated high school. So luckily I had a lot of supportive teachers that helped me out during that quarter.
Yeah, that's really hard. Did it make you question yourself? Did you get embarrassed? Did your sister help you? Like, how did you work through that?
I think my family helped me a lot. I think looking into the future and helped a lot, like what could be.
Right.
It's important to look into the future.
But when people get a D, I mean, that's pretty shocking.
Yes.
Especially when you're an achiever. So, what goes through your head, and how do you not give up?
I think for me personally, it was just that everything was going to be fine. Everything works out. There's circumstances that you can't control, but eventually it's important to see that everything will be fine and it's not the end of the world.
I mean, are you really this cool and chill?
She is.
Not really.
I'm trying to like push a little bit to like hear about, you breaking down and thinking, it's just not going to work out, but that's just not who you are, right?
Everybody has those moments, but you just gotta keep moving forward.
Right. Because, getting D's or C's or grades that aren't always reflective of your history is it's normal. People go through that. Francisco. So, all right, man, I want to know if you're a soccer player right now, you're a high school soccer player, you're like, man, I want to play in college. All right. And you are offering the blueprint, the master plan. All right. So I want you to help these high school students to understand how could they get so lucky that they can be recruited and play college soccer.
Everything starts from school. You have to have good grades. You can't fail any classes, because if you fail any classes or they see your transcript from high school, colleges won't get you. So what I mean with that is you gotta have to have good classes and a good GPA. So that's what I did. I passed all my classes from freshman to senior. And from there, results came in. And that's when I realized, I did my job as a high school student, which I played for CBC.
So when you're playing, you're on a club team, are the coaches reaching out to college coaches? Like, how does someone get seen?
In the Central Washington Sounders Academy, we used to play, internationally. What we do is we play out there. We play first division. In that league, it was a first division. So from there, scouts come, which are colleges. So, they see, if they actually like your style of play. From there, they reach out to your coach. And from there, your coach, gets you into a meeting with your parents. And from there, they talk about, that this college wants you or stuff like that. And from there, that's when paperwork comes in. So my freshman year, I remember I was playing with that club. From there, I played it. I don't know if you guys know, but Central Washington Sounders is a team in Yakima. From there, it was partnership with this real Seattle Sounders team. And there's a facility in Seattle, Washington, where they play. It's called Starfire. And from there, they saw me playing and stuff like that. And they actually liked how I played. So from there, they invited me to practice with the Sounders Academy, which is the official team in Seattle. So I came back to town and stuff like that, and I started working more and more. And that's when St. Martin's University was the first university that wanted me. It's a Division II in Lacey, Washington, close to Seattle. And I decided to stay here, because it's beautiful to stay, close to family.
Yeah. So you were offered other scholarships?
Yes, correct.
From more than one school, or were there others?
Skagit Community College wanted me as well. And then, which one was the other one? St. Martin's University. But it's not just because, we have, beautiful moments we live in. We have our ups and downs. So that's why there were some downs before in my past that, I couldn't attend to those colleges. So, but other than that, the decision I made at the end was, stay home. And that's the best thing I did.
Yeah. And why, I want to respect your privacy, but why specifically was it important for you to stay home?
So first, I was attending, St. Martin's University. Well, before I signed paperwork and stuff like that, they told me I had a, big scholarship that was going to cover me for 4 years. And from there, that's when the first week I was attending the school, I talked to my financial aid and my counselors, and they told me that I had to pay out of pocket. But then there was a situation that, I was like, well, there's something wrong out here, because you guys told me, financial aid and stuff is going to cover it.
Right.
So then from there, I had to pay out of pocket for my tuition was, I believe, $15,000. I don't remember exactly, but so then I was like, that's so crazy. How am I going to pay that? And then I had to pay like in less than a week. So I was like, I have to contact my parents or, let them know what, what's going to happen. So then that's when Martin Ramirez, my head coach, contacted me saying, hey, well, I heard what's happening to you and your news, so I will love for you to come play with me and I could offer you a scholarship. For you to get scholarships in college for sports it has to start off from high school. It comes back to, school-wise, your education, you got to put effort into it.
Yeah. So that's a really shocking discovery when you get to campus. So like you moved in, you were playing on the other team, and then you learned that you didn't have the scholarship,
Right.
right? And do you know what happened? Like what was the problem?
For some reason they told me that it was too much the career I was going into, so they couldn't really pay for, they couldn't cover everything for my classes. So I was like, oh, okay, So for not me to argue, I just decided to step back a little bit and go to a different college, and who knows, probably later in the future I could go back to the same university. And
Yeah. So tell me, so now, all right. So getting back to CBC. So now you're at CBC, you're playing, and how you doing this year? How's your team?
well, we ended the season and they took us out sadly, in quarterfinals, but we had a great competitive team. We lost 2 games in the whole season, so it was pretty good. It was a great experience. It's tough competition, not just because it's a college, a division, but anywhere you go, college is high competitive sports.
So now are you in your second year? You're in you just finished your second year. So now are you going to play next year, or what happens next year?
Well, I sat with my family. I explained to them, what my decision was. Like I told them that soccer is my life. I grew up playing with the ball. It teach me, to stay in the right path. But I sat with them a couple of weeks ago, telling them, well, it's time for me to call it, a good for now and focus on my school wise. And I think for my parents, I thank them a lot because they actually support what I decide for myself. And it sucks because, I'm a person that loves sports, but I decided to just focus now on my career, school
So,
wise.
so what are you going to do next year?
Well, just basically work and focus on my major that I'm trying to do.
Right. And then are you going to graduate from CBC with a bachelor's degree?
No, I still need 2 more years because I didn't do no running start or anything like that.
Right. So you're going to do that at CBC.
Yeah, correct.
Right. And continue to do the work you're doing, but you can't play. You only have 2 years of eligibility.
Yeah. So let's say, I'll actually want to play, still, if I do want to play soccer, I have to transfer to a university.
Right. And that's something you don't want to do that.
Yeah. So now I just want to focus on my career and school wise.
Yeah. But you can probably still coach, right? Or
yeah. So let's say, if I get an offer out there, hey, can you help us with kids or stuff like that? Or, can you, coaches for this team, I could do that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that's also a hard thing. Getting to that place where athletics is such a big part of your identity, and now transitioning to that next phase, which I'm sure will be interesting. It'll be challenging. I love the medals above you. Where are those from?
Actually, these. Well, I have more, but these is not the ones I put out. But I have around like 30 or above. But these are for my club team in Central Washington Sounders.
Nice, that's great. So I want to get a couple FAFSA pro tips. I don't know if you filled out the FAFSA, Francisco. Did you ever fill out the FAFSA? Did you ever have?
Yes. So lucky me, like Nora said, I got help by financial aid and scholarships. So that's something, big for me because I honestly thought I was going to pay out of pocket, when I was in high school, but gladly, thank God and my parents, for supporting me and stuff like that. I got help from financial aid and they helped me with, my school, throughout the quarters. And they still are helping me, with it. And besides that, I'm getting scholarships with soccer too.
Nice. And when it comes to filling out the FAFSA, I know a lot of students get intimidated by that. Did you have to fill out yours?
Yes. So you have to, they require a lot of forms. It's a pain in the butt. You got to fill up all these, things step by step. But throughout the time and the effort you put in, everything's gonna be worth it. So you're gonna get help with school wise, and you're gonna basically, get actually money back, and you could pay for your gas or for your school, and stuff like that.
Explain that. You can get money back. How's that work?
Yeah. So in my college right now, I'm going in. It's so the tuition each quarter is $3,000. So basically, I get money back, which means whatever is left off from financial aid, I get it back in my bank account. And then from there, let's say I get $1,000 back, I can use it for like school wise. You could, like people say out there, you got to be smart with what you're going to waste it on. Not just buy anything you want, but use it wisely.
Right. So when you get financial aid, they'll give you that money. And then if your tuition or costs are lower, then that money's still money that you get to use for school or for things related to school.
Yes.
And, okay, cool. So, yeah, it's great for people to know, because I don't think people understand that. I don't think anybody understands that, the idea that you can get free money, right?
Yeah.
And then if you don't need all that money, you still can use that money, right?
Yeah. Or later in the future, who knows, like my sister was telling me, hey, well, you fail a class or, something happens and financial aid doesn't want to carry you in the future, that money that they give you back, you could use it for that, later in the future.
Right. So it's really important to fill out your FAFSA, right?
Yes. Important.
Right. You got to fill out your FAFSA. Clarissa, did you fill out a FAFSA?
I did.
And do you have any FAFSA pro tips? Any tips for other students who are filling out the FAFSA to help them to fill this out to make it an easier process?
I think just talking with your parents on getting their tax bills, their taxes.
Did you have to do that yourself, or did your parents help with that?
I just made sure and communicated with them like, oh, I need your tax forms so I could fill out my information.
And they gave it to you?
Yeah.
And did school help you to fill out your FAFSA?
They did. I think our year they held a FAFSA night from like 6 to 9, and there was teachers. Everybody could come with their parents, and they helped you out in the computer lab.
Did you go?
Yes.
And you were able to pretty much fill out the whole FAFSA at this FAFSA night?
Yeah.
That's great. And then how much money did you get?
Like I said, my first year, they weren't going to help me with much. So they were going to help me cover 25%. But in the end, they covered more than what I needed to.
Right. So you got to fill out the FAFSA, because I don't think people understand. You got to fill this out. It's a pain in the butt, right? It's annoying. But you go, Nora, what about your FAFSA story? Any FAFSA pro tips that you can offer?
It's worth to apply even if you don't think that you qualify. It's going to be worth, even if you're only getting like a small percentage of what you need covered, you should still be applying for financial aid, because you might qualify and it might help you a lot. I know it did for me. It's definitely an intimidating form. You look at it and they're asking you so many questions. It feels like they're looking at you with a microscope type. But there are also questions that you or your parents can help you fill out. For myself, it was a bit different because usually these types of forms I help my parents fill out. So thankfully in high school, my last year of high school, I was involved with the Upward Bound program. So I'm not sure if you've heard of the Upward Bound program.
Tell us about it.
They help you with your college path. And it's very similar to the TRIO and CAMP program. It's like they're like sisters. And you qualify by being low income, by being like first generation student and all of these things. So I qualified because I am first generation, because I'm low income, and pretty much everything else aligns. So I was able to be a part of that program, and I did it my last year. They also helped to revise my financial aid. So I finished filling it out. And afterwards, I had somebody else look at it just to be sure that it was done correctly.
That's great. Great advice. Did any of you do Gear Up in high school? Do you remember Gear Up?
I don't
know if you were all Gear Up grads or if Gear Up was there, but it's a lot of Upward Bound and filling out the FAFSA through like those FAFSA nights. That's just, it's so great. And I know Upward Bound has that, but also Gear Up does a lot of FAFSA nights. So that FAFSA stuff is just great. So cool. All right. So I want to get a sense of what it's like to actually, go to college and to find your way. So Nora, so you arrived on campus your freshman year. Did you know a lot of people? Were you nervous? How were you able to find your people and places?
Something I kind of focused in my first year is finding a community. And I, thankfully I was part of the CAMP program, the College Assistance Migrant Program. And through them, I was able to find a community. I feel like, if I did not do the program, I would not have gone as far or stayed for as long, just because it's too overwhelming, especially your first year. And having that foundation, at least, it just feels like part of home, you know?
How did you know to find camp?
That would have been through the Upward Bound program that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so through them, they do let you know, you might qualify, so you apply as with everything else, and yeah, so I qualified to be in the program, and I super glad that I was a part of it. There's many people like myself, a lot of Hispanics in that program, and it was just really nice. It was really nice.
Yeah, I think that part of having a place, when you're on a team and you're playing a team sport, you've got the people on your team. So you have that. But when you are going from the Valley to Seattle and people look very different than you, it's very hard. A lot of students, I talked to a bunch of students just the other day from Sunnyside, and I think almost all of them at one point either stopped or were really considering stopping. Were you thinking of going home? Was there a point where you're like, this isn't for me, I'm out of here, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, I may be a lot of things, but I would say quitter is not one of them. I had to apply to the business program here at UW. And in order to do that, you need to, finish these prerequisites. And my first year, I was taking economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and these math courses for business. It was a tough quarter. I was used to getting A's, B's, nothing lower, nothing lower than that from high school and the college. And then I came here, and geez, my first quarter was not a happy quarter because I passed barely. And I felt like I was on a string because you need to have good grades in order to qualify, because you're applying to this program. If you don't get good grades, you're only one. It feels like you're only one in a bunch. So I applied to this program and my GPA is not looking so pretty. And I already felt like, okay, maybe I'm not going to get in. If that happened, I had applied to the business program at Yakima Valley College. I got accepted. So I was considering transferring. I really was. And so I applied and I got on the wait list. And so I thought, it's over. I'm not going to get accepted. And one of my advisors called me the following day, and he let me know that I did get in, and I could not believe it. I still can't believe that I got in. So a lot of it is, like imposter syndrome and so many other things. There's just so many variables, but I think imposter syndrome would definitely be one of the biggest ones for myself. I am already like in the business school, and I still cannot believe that I actually got in. And yeah, I think it's just so important to get connected with people, because I think I would have not been able to get as far if it were not for camp, if it were not for Upward Bound Trio, or the advisor I was speaking to. His name is Aaron. If he's watching this, Aaron Robertson. I absolutely adore him. We've gotten super close, and I'm just super, super thankful for, all of the opportunities that I've been given.
I had this conversation last night with a bunch of other students about imposter syndrome, and just, I don't think that a lot of you all recognize just how hard you've worked. I mean, Francisco, you were sharing with me just the journey of being in middle school and high school, and the endless hours, and just dealing with the challenges of your life. And Nora, I think you said you have 9 siblings, right?
8 siblings.
8 siblings. There's 9 kids in your family.
And I'm the middle child.
You're the which one?
I'm like in the middle.
So. You're the ultimate middle, right? I mean, the least visible, right? There's so many sacrifices that you have had to endure, and Clarissa as well. I mean, it's like I think you have like an X factor. Like you all have this X factor, like this multiple that is something that makes you extraordinary. And the reason you got into the business school is because you're extraordinary. The reason you got into the business school is because you're worthy and deserving. The reason you got into business school is because what you have had to endure and how you've been able to persevere is unbelievable, is amazing. is incredible, and you don't even recognize it. I don't think, not just you, but first gen students, people don't recognize just how extraordinary they are and how extraordinary you all are. So I see it, and I know why. And I also understand just from listening how hard it is to recognize just where you are. But everything is within reach. And I have no doubt, Francisco, you're gonna, get the house and be able to take care of the things you want and have that life that you desire, and being in that tech firm. And Nora, I know you're gonna, whatever you want to do in accounting, you'll do it, and you'll probably be surprised the whole way that you keep doing it. And then when you're running the company, you'll be surprised that you're running the company, until one day you're like, wow, I really am good. Maybe it will happen sooner rather than later. And Clarissa, you, as with your PhD, teaching wherever you want to teach, even if it's not where, it doesn't have to be where your sister taught. It could be wherever you want. Clarissa, what was your most uncomfortable experience in college, and how did you get through it?
I didn't have any of my friends, anyone from high school, and I guess it was just getting out of my comfort zone there.
This is when you went to Central.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like? How did you meet people?
I think it was mainly through classes and work.
And how long did it take you to make friends?
I think 3 months.
And what did you do during those 3 months to pass the time?
I would just go to my dorm, go work out, and then just watch Netflix by myself.
So you were alone a lot.
Yeah.
Did you expect to be alone so much?
I kind of did, but it was a good 3 months to myself.
Yeah. And then after the third month, who did you make friends with, and how did you make friends with that person?
It was mainly through work. I worked as a lifeguard, and I got to meet a couple of cool college kids from there.
And then they would invite you to hang out, or what would you do?
Yeah, I think it was for like a Christmas party. That's where I got to know everyone out of work.
Was there ever a time where you thought of quitting?
I think it was during like the COVID year, where everything was online, all the schools were shut down. It was around that time.
And was there anybody who helped you, who was in your corner at Central or along the way, other than, family, an advisor, a teacher?
Not really, no. It was mainly family.
It was family.
Yeah.
And when you were really lonely on campus your first year, that's really hard. A lot of students, struggle with that. What advice do you have to a student who is in a new place where they're surrounded by not a lot of people they know, and they're dealing with those feelings of homesickness or loneliness?
I think it's just finding yourself, finding what you like to do on your free time, what you enjoy. So it's not mainly focusing on like, oh, I need friends to be happy. So just what makes you happy yourself.
What made you get a job?
I guess extra expenses like books, or let's say I wanted extra clothing, things like that.
Was it to meet people too, or was that just an accident?
I grew up being a lifeguard, so it was very easy for me to like just, oh, I'm good at this job, I'll just go get that job.
Yeah, because I always encourage students to find places where they can be around people. And, from your story, working was the place where you met people. Had you not worked, it probably would have been really hard for you to meet people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were you involved with any clubs or activities at Central?
Not really. There was a club for wrestling that looked interesting, but you had to pay to be into the club.
And then, so you didn't do that. And then, you are also, so you're a political science and American Sign Language minor?
Mm-hmm.
And tell me why sign language?
I grew up being exposed to the language from my mom. My mom took a couple classes in ASL too, and she would go to a lot of the community events. And I would just be like, hi, my name is Clarissa, and just know the basic. So that piqued my interest.
And are you fluent when it comes to signing?
To an extent, yes.
Oh, that's great. And so that's another skill. That's wonderful. And when it comes to studying, did you ever use any study resources, any academic centers, anything, any places to help?
I would go to the library a lot, just so I'm not just at my dorm. I would go to the library to get some more exposure.
Right, to be in a place where you're around people.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I wish we had talked earlier because like when you were in high school, I visited a bunch of schools. I don't know if I visited Sunnyside when you were there, but just that whole idea of meeting people, it's very hard to meet people. I mean, you have to be very intentional. And I think that Nora, you were able to find camp and you were able to find Trio and Upward Bound. And I know that there's a lot of students who are in Gear Up, but having that place where you can be around people so that you can find community is so important. Because without that, Nora, that you are not alone in that feeling of it's really hard to be in that other place. Francisco, was there ever a time when you were playing soccer where you felt like you couldn't continue, or it got too hard, or you wanted to give up?
Probably this season. This season was the time when I was like, I just can't, or I just want to say, I'm done with it. But I think it was this year.
Yeah, and why did you feel that this year?
I say because probably with the pandemic and all that stuff, it left us without playing soccer for like almost a year. So that's when I think, I was like, that basically affected me because, since I'm a person that likes playing soccer for like almost on the daily. So that's why it's pretty sure affected me.
What was your most uncomfortable experience in college and how did you get through it?
Probably was like when not knowing where my classes were in my like the first couple of weeks or first couple of days of college, my freshman year.
And how do you work through that?
Honestly, since I'm pretty sure these girls out here know that I'm an outgoing person, so I talk to like whoever comes up, through the hallway. So that's when I asked for help. I was like, hey, well, this class number, where it's at, what building it is. So yeah, they helped me a lot. So that's what helped me a lot from it too, asking help from people.
Were people nice to you when you asked for help?
Yeah, I honestly thought they were going to be like rude or something. They were going to be like, honestly, look for it yourself or something like that. But no, they were, nice and generous.
When you're asking for directions, do you ask the first person or do you look for the most attractive person?
No, I just want to go straight to my class, not be late. So whoever, is around me, I just ask. Either it's a boy or a girl.
Okay. So you're not looking for a date.
No, no.
Because that's a good question. Like that's a great thing. When it comes to being on a team sport with so many different people and personalities, how does someone do that?
Probably people might think, being in sports is like being popular, but basically it's not because, sport is just a sport, just like how normal people we are. So I'm pretty sure, that's who I am, like a normal person.
How about like dealing with the different personalities on the team? Is that because, you don't get along with everyone all the time?
Yeah, of course. There's sometimes, when we're out there practicing and we do some dumb stuff out there that, we sometimes, get mad at each other, but we manage ourselves to, be a family since that's who we are. And at the end of the day, we love each other, who we are.
Yeah, that's great. You seem pretty driven. I know that you're really focused on your goals. What's your mantra? Do you have a certain mantra, something that keeps you pushing through, Francisco?
Honestly, what keeps me pushing forward is my past. I don't want, to be working how I was working my teenage life, and I want something better for my future kids and for my family, and not just because of my family, but also for my parents, because I think they deserve, how Nora was saying, give them something from our part too, what they did throughout our lives. So that's what keeps me pushing forward.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I just want to hit two more things, then we're going to wrap this up. When it comes to mental health, we talked a lot about that before, with the other group. It's not something that people really address a lot. I don't know, Francisco, if that's ever something that's come up of just, taking care of you and making sure, everything that's happening between your ears feels right and feels good. And it sounds like you've been through a lot this year. Have you been able to take care of your mental health? Like, how do you take care of that? Do you have any tips or suggestions?
Well, me, since I'm an athletic person, what helps me a lot is, sometimes if I'm struggling with assignments or stuff like that, get some space out of my assignments and just focus, with my family, spend time with my family. And then if, when I think I'm ready to, start with my assignments again, get more answers towards it, come back to it, or sometimes when I'm dealing with something else, go outside in my house and, kick the ball around. That actually helps me a lot.
So when you're feeling a little overwhelmed or stressed or just not being able to focus, you'll just go outside and just exercise?
Yeah. Or be around my family and spend time, and let my mind cool down for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Nora, have you had any experiences with managing mental health, dealing with stress, being far away from home? I imagine, there's a lot of big feelings.
Yeah, there's a lot of feelings about mental health, especially coming from like a Latin family, where sometimes it's not always acknowledged, where you're just having a bad day. It doesn't mean like what even is having anxiety or having depression, or there's just so many things that you need to be taking care of yourself already. And mental health is definitely one of the top to keep you sane, I would say. I think my first year, like I had said, it was really tough on many levels. I tried really hard to take care of my mental health. Sometimes it's hard too, because you don't know where to start. Thankfully, with camp, they had done like some seminars and such where they would introduce you. They'd have these lecture types where they would bring somebody in and they would introduce you to the health center, where they did have some availability for students to go in and see a therapist if they need to. Or there are just so many things out there. Sometimes it's just kind of like going out and looking for it, or if not, hopefully it comes through and you see it somewhere on campus, because campus does have, most schools do have a lot of kind of like not only like tips, but also like assistance with a lot of these things. And so I was able to contact the therapist during that time. I think it was much needed for myself. And I think it's also really important to acknowledge and to let your family know as well, even though sometimes they don't always understand.
And did that help you?
It helped me. Yeah, I think, they say, there's this saying of like, it doesn't always get easier, but you get stronger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you just always got to keep going forward, and rest when you need to rest, because resting, or sometimes just turning off your phone or closing your computer for a few hours, it's self-care. And I think you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Just
what else?
Go on a walk. I think going outside is like super important for your mental health. Like my first year, I did not go to a dorm. I actually rented my own apartment, and that's not something usual for many people, especially on their first year. But that's what I decided to do, and that's what I did. So I had an apartment kind of close to campus. We rented it out, so we had our whole experience having a whole management in the big city of Seattle, and the whole thing of, being with a roommate, being responsible for all of your things, because at the end of the day, it's your apartment. And there are just so many things that go beyond and that also go behind having an apartment for yourself. And I think it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Would you recommend somebody get their own apartment or live in campus housing?
I just feel like it depends for everybody. That's just with everything. It does depend. For myself, I didn't want to be in a dorm because I didn't want to live with people that I did not know, because for me, I just don't feel comfortable. But for a lot of people, they chose to do that option of going to a dorm because they wanted to get to meet new people. And you're kind of forced to live with somebody else some of the times. So I think it's a good opportunity to live in a dorm because you get to meet people. If that's something that, you know, you're trying to do and you're trying to get out of your comfort zone, it's definitely it for you. For
Yeah.
myself, I just was not comfortable. And I think it can also be cheaper for yourself, you know, with financial aid and with the funds that are, you know, like if you look at the estimated tuition for any college that you're looking into going, they always have like the room and board, and that's a separate section. For the University of Washington, I had pulled it up. The room and board it comes out to $14,871 for the year of 2021. And along with this, there are other estimates, and tuition is on here as well. Like you get to see, if you get to see like your whole thing, right, and you kind of get an idea of how it would be financially for you. 14,871, it would be complete covered for your room and your board and all of those expenses. But if you're renting in the area of Seattle, it can range from anywhere from 500 to like 1,000, possibly $1,500 for yourself per month. So that's something to consider. I think if you find a good deal and you're trying to save money, that's something you should consider. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for a first year though, it's a lot to take on because you've got to deal with all of those additional expenses and responsibilities, and it's a lot to manage. And I think sometimes the money that people save sometimes can have a tremendous impact in terms of their ability to manage all of the changes. And if you're getting a scholarship or if there's financial aid that will cover it, because I think in your situation, I would imagine it probably would have covered everything.
Yeah, for myself, it would have. It's
right.
And it's, yeah, like it does also depend on whether or not, I don't know if I want to say like whether or not you can handle it, but it's also not too complicated. You know, we had the time to go and view different places where we could possibly live.
Yeah.
And so we went and did that. And it's also for myself, it's also about like for my mental health. We were speaking about that as well.
Yeah.
And I would have not liked very much living with other people. And I think that would have been a lot for me. So that's why I decided not to. But it does depend. And that's a really good point as well. But
you know your situation, you know, yeah. I've been doing this a while where I've seen, you know, I've seen students who will go to these cities and don't want to live in a residence hall. And it's hard. It's really hard, but you know, you've been able to manage it. And I think finding camp and those other places really made an impact. But for people who don't have that, I think sometimes it could be, you know, just so isolating. I think Clarissa, you might have experienced just, you know, at least you were on campus, but if you weren't on campus, you know, it could be isolating. But anyway, I appreciate all that. And just, I love, you know, the way you take care of your mental health, Nora, and thanks for being so honest about that and sharing that, because I think so many people struggle with that. Clarissa, do you have any tips on how to take care of your mental health?
I honestly didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know it was a thing until like, you know, social media brought it up. I just always felt like I was stressed, always overwhelmed, and you just find things you like to do.
Yeah. So you've been able to get through it just through finding things you enjoy. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, if you are ever interested, I know that there's counseling services and, you know, there's incredible resources. I have a therapist. I just talked to my therapist today, and I love it. It's wonderful because I can talk to someone and say things that I can't say to anyone, and I can process feelings that I don't always know how to work through, and it's scary, but it's also something I take a lot of joy in because there's no other place where I can do that. So anyway, I'm just a big fan, and I wanted to at least include that. So I'm going to wrap this up. I just have one final question for all of you, and I really appreciate all of your help and insight, and I'm just so grateful for our time together. So Clarissa, if you could go back in time and see high school senior Clarissa walking through the halls of Sunnyside Senior High School and be like, "Hey, Clarissa, I want to give you some advice." What would you tell you, high school you, that would have helped you in life?
To be more outgoing and to talk to people more.
That's something that was hard for you?
Yeah, it was.
Do you still find it hard?
Mm, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the hard part about it? Why is it hard?
I think just opening up, just talking in general.
And what's the risk of doing that?
Letting people know too much.
And then what would happen?
That's it. Nothing. Just
If
talking.
they knew too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always interested. I'm also obsessed with risk taking and rejection. Those are another areas where, people judging and
Mhm.
it's a scary thing to have people judge and think thoughts. And I think that's a hard thing. So I appreciate you being so vulnerable. Nora, if you could go back in time and give high school Nora a little bit of advice, what would you tell high school senior Nora?
I first would give high school senior Nora a big hug. And I would say, believe in yourself always, even if nobody does. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a lot of people who believe in you too, which is great. But you believe in yourself the most. That's great. Do you believe in you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Do you believe in you?
I think sometimes sometimes it's the imposter syndrome talking.
Yeah.
But I always like to have that thought in my mind of, kind of whispering to myself, believe in yourself, like you've got this. You're not the only one that's going through something now. And if somebody else is able to go through it, so are you. And now me being here, if I was able to get this far and if I was able to get accepted into the program I didn't think I would be accepted to, or do all of the things that I'm currently doing, involved with so many amazing communities. I mean, if I could do it, anybody could do it. And that's just kind of, just how it's just important to know that you can do anything that you set your mind to.
I love it. Thank you. Francisco, if you can go back in time and see high school senior Francisco, what would you tell you that would have helped you?
I'll probably thank myself, the person who I am, and also never give up, and probably tell yourself or tell my own self that no matter what background you have in your life or in your past, everything's gonna come with a bright light in your future.
I love it. Hey, I forgot to ask you at Sunnyside, was there a teacher or a coach or someone who really helped you and had an impact on your life?
Of course, David Guevara. He's currently still coaching Sunnyside High School.
Tell me how he helped you.
Well, he helped me with a lot of things in the beginning when I used to do my tryouts, because, for you to, how high school works is you have to try out first before joining a team. So, he told me, before practice started, he's like, just be yourself, and just show who you really are. Don't put yourself into, a lot of mindsets, could I do this or that? Just be yourself. That's what actually helped me throughout my high school journey. And thanks to him, he helped me be in the varsity soccer team since my freshman to my senior.
And then was he someone you stayed connected with after you graduated?
Yeah, of course. I still contact him. We share texts to each other, and he helps me a lot. So
when's the last time you reached out, and what was it about?
Probably like 2 weeks ago, 3.
And what was it about?
Oh, well, he was just thanking me, for the person who I am. Since season, like I said before, our season came to an end this year, and he was just thanking me for who I was, in and out of the pitch, and we were just sharing, beautiful moments together. How we used to share moments in the pitch and outside of the field and in class, how we share beautiful moments together.
So this is your high school coach?
Yeah, my high school coach.
And you're in college now?
Yeah, now my second year in college.
And and he's still in your corner rooting for you and helping you.
Yeah, thanks to him, I take out my hat for him. He's been generous throughout my life, and he helped me a lot. And if he's looking out here, he knows that I think him a lot, and he's like a brother to me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Nora, I forgot to ask you, is there someone at Sunnyside who really had an impact on your life?
Mm, I can't pinpoint it on just one teacher. I would say I don't know. There's just so many, and I feel like even in elementary, I had one teacher who, she had said to me one time. She put me to the side and she had told me that, I'd be capable of all of the things that I set my mind to, and I don't know. That's just always stuck with me. But
Who was that teacher and what'd she say?
she was my fourth grade teacher. I think it was fourth or fifth grade teacher. Her name was Miss Corkmack. I can always not say her name. But we had just shared a moment, and it was just really, really nice. And I don't know, I'm just really thankful for, for being able to have some people to believe in me, and it's just been great.
Can I just ask you that moment in fourth grade? Do you remember where you were and what happened and what she said?
Yeah, we were I think we were walking to recess or something, and we were outside of her room. Like, she had just taken me out, and we just had shared that moment. That was a long time ago. Yeah.
But I think for a teacher who hears that, the impact that has on a fourth grader, that here you are today talking
Yeah,
about.
teachers are so powerful. Yeah.
Do you remember exactly what she said?
She had said something along those lines of what I said earlier.
Will you say it again so I have it?
You can say anything. You can do anything you set your mind to.
And she told you that and you believe that in fourth grade.
I didn't believe it fully through, but I had thought, it's something that you hear, and you just kind of like, I don't know, you sit and you think about what had just happened. And also someone else, Miss Lapierre, I think maybe Francisco and Clarissa also know her, Peggy Lapierre. She's also, I still keep in touch with her now, and she's been a teacher for many years now in the Outlook Elementary School, and she's just always been super great and super supportive. I still talk to her now. She has a daughter who's in my grade, so we've been able to keep in touch that way a little bit easier. And she's always also been one of those people to believe in me from the very beginning. And sometimes she sees me post updates on Facebook, and she always comments about how happy she is for me. And I absolutely adore her. Yeah.
That feels good. I love it. That's wonderful. Well, I'm so grateful to have the time to visit with all of you. Before I sign off, I always give everybody an opportunity. Is there something else you wanted to share or communicate to high school students, to middle school students, to anybody who's out there? Before we wrap this up, is there anything you wanted to clarify? Nora, anything else you wanted to share?
I want to put out there, if you're watching this, to just keep going forward, and always remember that you will say anything, you will do anything that you set your mind to. And if it would be a possibility for you to reach out to me and ask for any advice, I am absolutely up to it. I am currently applying to be a mentor for some students in middle school, and I'm hoping I get accepted too, so I can give any of my tips or whatever it is that might be needed. It's definitely hard, and everybody can do it. I think anybody can do it.
That's great. So if anyone wants to reach out to Nora, we'll have the information. Francisco and Clarissa, you're open to people interacting with you, asking you questions. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I figured it was. So with that, I want to thank you all. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. You're so generous. I'm so grateful to be able to share your insight and your wisdom. For all of you who are watching, I'm Harlan Cohn. I'm more than happy to help you. I'm in all of your corners, Francisco, Nora, Clarissa. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. And if there's anybody I can do for anybody who's watching this, I want you to live your dreams, and I want you to live a life that's just overflowing with light and happiness. And I'm grateful to be able to be here with all of you. Thank you, Sunnyside Senior High School alumni. I'm Harlan Cohn. This has been a college conversation. I look forward to continuing to be in your corner. Thanks, everybody.